Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree. Last Thursday I went along to IOM Meats for the second part of the Xmas Primestock show.
I chat to one of the most famous entertainers in the clubs and halls around the Isle of Man, Tilbury, and also I catch up with Andrew North, who was part of the adventure and wellness event held on International Men's Day. Plenty to slot in on the programme today, a bit soggy underfoot, Kirree, and tricky, I suppose, with sheep and things like that to keep their feet in good condition, isn't it?
It is. It's that time of year. Like I said last week, we've had a good run into the back end, but this weather has certainly changed. But one thing for sure, Simon, the temperatures have remained really quite high. It's keeping that ice and frost away.
Is that a worry, though, with flies still coming back to life sort of thing?
Well, this is it. We're not getting the hard, cold frosts that kill off those diseases. And you do see a lot more pneumonias and problems with respiratory at this time of year, having them in the sheds. A lot of condensation and bacteria does build up. So we do enjoy a good hard frost for a week or two on the bounce. And it's better underfoot outside for the livestock too. Those crisp days are always very welcomed. But like you say, going about the farms at the minute, it is very muddy. It is very slippery. So just be mindful on the farm lanes out and about on the island.
It is. Well, last Saturday, of course, on the Isle of Man, it was International Men's Day, and lots of things were happening, generously donated by a load of people on the Isle of Man who gave up their time to just give some people something to do over the weekend with adventure and wellness events. Well, I popped along to speak to Andrew North, who does many events around the Isle of Man out in the countryside, amongst them canoeing in the Tilbury River.
Yes, we just finished and just been sat by the fire today, but yesterday we were out doing all sorts, so yeah, it was a great day.
Yeah, and what sort of activities were you involved with? Was it different than your normal ones?
There was a few different ones, yeah, so we did the usual one. We in the winter we like to paddle up the Tilbury River, so we took a bunch of men up the Tilbury River. Had a float around and paddle back down, and then later on in the afternoon we had a giant whittling fire circle and drum. So we had a load of percussion instruments, and we got
a jam.
Yeah, everyone had whacked something.
That's the part and parcel of it, though, isn't it? But yeah. You mentioned about the canoeing in the Tilbury River, Andrew, and something sort of unique about your canoes, isn't there?
Well, yeah, they do have see-through bottoms. And the glass bottom, it's better than the glass jaw, isn't it?
Yeah. But is there much to see?
It's interesting, yeah. I mean, there's more to see. The sea is clearer than the river, but it depends how much rain we've had. And then if you get up to where the Glen Alden comes in, that one's crystal clear, and you see the difference. So sometimes we do see fish.
Yeah.
But it just depends how much rain there's been, and sometimes a big tide will bring a lot of debris up.
And how much of the river can you normally get into and see?
Well,
because I suppose it's part of the island that most people won't get the chance to ever see.
No, I think people just love, the chance to be out, paddling in the trees. There's wildlife. There's quite a lot of interesting wildlife now. So you can go right up to Kirree Ford or just further down, but we don't go anywhere near that far. We just go in the tidal stretch. So up above the White Bridge is a lovely section full of reeds, and so yeah, it is. It's great seeing the places, seeing the wildlife, and just getting a bit of exercise, and you can just chat. You don't have to look at your footsteps as you're going.
Yeah, and is that part and parcel of why you got involved in all this yourself, Andrew? Was it just it clears your head and you can get out?
Yeah. Yes. It's strange because I do remember, leaving school, and I thought, well, all I really want to do is just work outside, and there's not that many options. And even, I have worked in agriculture. I've worked as a milkman. I've done lots of outdoor jobs, but I think it's just more. It's better for people. I mean, people need to get out a bit more. We've just become a bit too much inside our heads, and it's not that good for you. It turns out.
And was the people at the weekend that have not really done this sort of thing before who really found it a surprising change to their lifestyles?
Yeah, there was. We had some people that had never done it and had never been on that stretch of the river. And certainly there was the people that were sat round a fire, whittling and whacking drums. You know, they'd never tried that. But you know, soon enough, you all fall into a rhythm. I mean, people. We're talking about things that humans have done for hundreds of thousands of years. You know, growing stuff, getting out there, coming together.
Yeah, we've obviously spent bits of times in Europe, and this happens a lot of little towns and villages all over Europe, doesn't it? Little gatherings that get together, get away from the telly, not interested, and just have a good time, bonding, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we make excuses, I think, sometimes that the climate's not good enough for it. But, I mean, I was sweating. I wasn't anywhere near the fire, and I was sweating. So that was just. And going up the river. So, I mean, sometimes in the winter you might need a pair of gloves if you're not used to it. But really, you put an extra layer on, don't you? And it's nice and sheltered on the Tilbury River, so there's pretty much. Yeah, there's no real wind direction that'll come and destroy you.
Mm-hmm. Now you get involved, as we mentioned before, in quite a lot of outdoor activities. Just tell us some of the other things you get involved with your exhibitions.
So some of those over the years, I suppose I've been all over. I used to take some groups from with the Duke of Edinburgh, so we've been out to Alaska and Canada and New Zealand, and then I've done expeditions in Patagonia and up the coast of Norway. And it's just if I had a luxury yacht, I would definitely use it. But sometimes all you've got is a kayak. But at least you get out. I mean, I think if I had a luxury yacht, I'd end up spending all my time painting it, and So I think the more you have, sometimes the more it needs looking after. And
but when you look at all these places that you've been to, I mean, do you still find that the nooks and crannies it gives you plenty to be looking at on the island?
People have never been in these places, and there's so many more places. I'm just finishing a book and a little guide to all the wild. It's a wild guide to the Isle of Man. So, and it's been incredible. Even though I've spent much of my life exploring all these little nooks and crannies, there's so many more. And so, no sooner had I, finished putting it all together than you get excited. You just realise there's so much more to see.
But if people want to maybe have a read of the book, is it out available now, and how can they get in touch with you?
It's coming out in the spring.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted on the Wild Guide. It's a publisher from England who they write lots of guides, and sometimes the Isle of Man just never features because we're not part of. Sometimes we're so separate that people forget, and so we're not included in many guides, and the publisher, he'd been all over, and he does lots from Europe and all around Britain, and he didn't know anything about the Isle of Man, and I suppose that's the same. People don't know what we've got. I mean, clearly the Victorians knew, and 600,000 people came for a bit of nature, and they came to dance, and they came to have music, and that was their holiday. I mean, it wasn't a secret the Isle of Man was beautiful and full of amazing nature then. So, but it's just kind of, I guess we focused on different things in the past. Yeah.
So if anyone wants more details on these, Andrew, how would they find out more?
Well, we've got a website called happyexplorer.co.uk, and they can find us on Facebook, and that's Happy Explorer Nature Adventures. And if people want to watch wallabies, jump in a secret waterfall, we do all sorts. We go to caves, we have concerts, play music, dancing, that sort of thing. So yeah, have a look if you're interested.
Andrew North there talking about the weekend and all the adventures that they got up to and what's on offer around the Isle of Man to get people away from sitting in their chairs at home, isn't it? It's great.
It is great. The island does pull together, especially with mental health and wellness and getting out in the countryside where they can. There's still lots more to be done, but events like this for the International Men's Day is terrific. But he has a canoe with a bit of a difference, though, there, doesn't he?
Yeah, be able to see, but you're not going to see the Mariana Trench or whatever it is in Sulby River, I wouldn't imagine. But great stuff and great to talk to Andrew there. But busy time in the stock world on the island, Kirree.
It is. The Winter Christmas Primestock show is always a favourite. It's a great platform to showcase all of the very best beef, lamb and pork that the island has to offer, especially on the run-up to Christmas. I went along to the second part of the Christmas Primestock show, ran by the Royal Manx Agricultural Society this year, held at Isle of Man Meats. I caught up with some of the winners there. Well, Ruth, congratulations. Red Mai out on top again with the Lochtons at the Primestock show this year.
I know, I'm absolutely thrilled. So it's really nice to see, the fruit of your labour. You know, we work very hard to produce some nice animals, and then there's 3 years in a row now that we've come out top carcass with Lochton, so absolutely made up.
So what is the top trade secrets then? What makes a very good Lochton?
They're athletic creatures, giving them somewhere that they can use all of their muscles. So ours run over a variety of terrain, and it really, really suits them. They do very well on poor grazing, which is fantastic. So they do conservation grazing in a couple of areas for people. And yeah, they get to run uphill and down dale and scramble up banks, and it builds.
Love life.
Yeah, they have a great life. They do. They really do.
And what's it mean for you each year to come back for the Christmas Primestock show?
It's just really nice to see other producers, have a chat, see how the year's gone. You know, it can be quite lonely farming from time to time. So to get together with people and then find that you're actually not alone at all, it's a really good opportunity to get away and meet up with people.
And that said, what kind of work does go in at the farm to get these animals to this stage and to this quality?
So it's the start of our farming year, really. So the tups have just gone in with the ewes. We expect a lamb at Easter, so the ewes have all had a health check. They've had their feet done. They need to look the best for the ram, and the ram's had his feet done because he needs to be able to chase the ladies. So, so there's a lot of prep at this stage, and then obviously lambing. I think most people kind of have an idea of how much work that is, and it doesn't matter whether you've got sort of 20 or 200. You're still up every 4 hours for weeks and weeks. And then, you have to keep them in good condition. So this year's was a hard year weather-wise. We had to work quite hard to keep everybody happy.
And what kind of age are they when they come to their full maturity for meat production?
So Lochton are very, very slow growing. It does change the profile of the flavour a bit. It's a richer meat, just because it's so slow growing. 18 months is the youngest that we would ever have anything ready. Quite often it can be 2 to 3 years. Anything up to 3 years we have to.
And these ones here today, they will be offered out to the local community to have a little taste of?
Yes, we have Lochton ready regularly. We're going to have some Lochton through in time for Christmas. I'm afraid the 2 hanging today have been bagged early. So we've got some customers that have actually been waiting, and they're very excited to get them. They're going to make some beautiful, nutritious meals,
Well, huge congratulations, Ruth. I know the work goes in behind the scenes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, Sarah Cooley, massive congratulations. Champion pair lamb, champion single lamb, reserve as well. How do you do it all?
I don't know. They've got to give the prize to somebody. I'm just very lucky.
Not at all. They looked at credit in there. What work goes into producing good fat stock lambs like that?
Hopefully you pick the right tup to go with the right ewe, and then fingers crossed, and then hope that they're at the proper weight when you want them to be and they're ready on the day.
You've been doing the fat stock show now. How many years has it been, Sarah?
Gosh, that's a question. Be in the teens, I'd imagine.
And do you get a lot from it?
Yes, it's very satisfying if it all goes your way.
And what does make a good sheep? What do you like? What are the traits that you particularly like about it?
Size and conformation. That's the important thing.
Yeah. And the confirmation, is that the priority?
It's part of it. Yes, it's half the job. If they haven't got the right size, it's no good confirmation without weight.
No. And you're talking about the weight. What do you do on the run up to the show?
Put them on and off the scales.
You do not. Last year, I know that it was a bit of a job to try and keep them under the 45 kilo weight band. Is it tricky to keep them under it?
It can be, especially with big ewe lambs. It just depends on when they're born, really. But if you've got ewe lambs born April time, you get to this time of year, they're going to be heading for the £100. But if they're born more, May time, maybe even into June, you stand a much better chance. But then you go the other way then, if they're born too late, they're not going to be big enough.
So do you have to stagger the lambing time to get, to get it right for this Christmas show?
I used to always have them, they were usually always bred from ewe lambs who never used to take the tup until even December time into January.
I see.
But they've moved the fat stock show earlier now. It always used to be more middle of December. But we've lost a fortnight now, and that fortnight makes quite a bit of difference. So the lambs I used to be going for, they're not big enough now. They need that another 2 or 3 weeks.
So that does make all the difference. I know they moved it for the fact that the butchers want to get the stock and to hang it for a bit longer to make the more flavour. But you don't realise the knock-on it has.
Yes, it did have a knock-on effect. But I understand people want the stock earlier, the butchers now, which is fair enough. I do understand it, but it does make a difference. I'm not drawing on the same lambs that I used to.
Yeah, yeah. And how has it changed? Has it changed much over the years? Are they looking for a different type of lamb now for grading?
No, they always wanted a lamb with good conformation, and it's still like that today.
Yeah, yeah. And it was good to see Rob Tier from WET as of Ramsey here tonight. He was bidding on only the very best stock, and he's gone away with your best pair.
Yes, well, I'm very proud that he has them in his shop.
Yeah, he's a good supporter of Manx.
He's an excellent supporter of Manx. It's, local butcher shops, that's what it's all about, what it should be all about. People from the Isle of Man should be able to go to a local butcher's and buy Manx produce.
And the very best produce. This
Yes.
is the platform, isn't
Yeah,
it? The Christmas show. Would a good show of stock right through, Sarah, in your view?
Yes, good as ever, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, congratulations. And if we want a piece of your good lamb up to Ramsey, we must go.
Yes, make a trip to Ramsey, get your passport and get to Ramsey.
Well done, Sarah.
Thank you.
Michael Deal, well, Federation Chairman this year. A big year to have. You got the tractor run coming up, but tonight, the Christmas Primestock show. How was it for the young farmers?
Yeah, really good. We've had a really good turnout from the young farmers. It's a really great event. On the Monday night, we do the live weight and valuation, and then tonight, down at the IOM Meats, we've done the carcass judging. So it's really good to see right from farm to fork, basically.
Yeah,
you see the whole process.
And how is it for young people? Because I know that not all of the young farmers are active farmers anymore. How is the experience for some of our members that are new to this industry?
Yeah, well, we've had some quite young new members come tonight as well, and I think it's quite an eye-opener. You see them walk into the fridges and they see, the after of the animal. So, I think it's a good experience, and they'll be telling their friends at school about it, I imagine, tomorrow.
And it is that locality of the Isle of Man where you can have that full experience. You know yourself how much hard work goes into producing beef, lamb and pork on the island, and then to see the outcome. But coming up, Michael, you've got the tractor run only a few days away now.
Yeah, this time next week we'll be getting ready for the tractor run. So on the Thursday night we have a little bit in the street, and then Friday the 6th we've got the South Run starting from Port Erin, and then on Saturday we've got the big run starting in Peel and ending in Douglas. So yeah, lots to do next week.
This is it. Well, congratulations to all the young farmers tonight. They're a credit to have at Isle of Man Meats. And who were the eventual winners in each section, do you remember?
Yeah, so Will Kane from the Southern Club, he won the live weight and the valuation, and then Tom Kane from Easton won the overall, including both results. So really well done to both of those guys. Well,
Vori Kelly, a very successful night here at the Fat Stock for the Christmas Primestock show. Now, this year's organised by the Royal Manx Show, and you're the Vice President, coming into the President for next year. How did the event go generally?
I thought it was very well supported, and it's so much lovely to see so many young people now coming forward. There's one young lady tonight, I've got her to give reasons, and she's quite a happy bunny gone home tonight.
And that's it, the young farmers giving reasons there tonight. I think it's the biggest class I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, there's a scotch of young farmers. The only problem is they don't know when time is time. And they were a bit late coming. But however, we'll get them straightened out, I'm sure.
Yeah. And there was a fine show of exhibits right across the 3 sections, Valerie.
Yes, very good. I wasn't there on Monday night, but I was seeing the photographs on Facebook and they looked good. Just 1 or 2, I would have said, were not quite ready, but you have to jump in and gamble and take part, and that's the main thing, is to taking part.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's a great platform for the local butchers to get some of the very best that's on display or on these farms on the Isle of Man.
Yeah, and it's somebody's got to be top and somebody's got to be bottom. And it's no good, being disappointed. It is disappointing to be last, but somebody's got to hold the rest up.
So you're looking forward to your year ahead?
Yes, I am, really. Lots going through my brain at the moment. Just different bits and pieces, and staff are trapping in my ear saying what we haven't, what we're doing, this, that, the other. But I've had loads of offers to help, which is wonderful.
And that's what's really good about the show organisation, the Royal Manx Show. Lots of people pull together.
They do pull together, yes. And no, it's good. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's 25 years since Norman was president, so I just hope he's got the finger on us up there.
Well, congratulations for tonight, for a well put together show by the Royal Manx Society.
Thank you very much.
Well, Rob, it was great having you here at the Primestock show. WET as Butchers of Ramsey has always been a big supporter of the Christmas Primestock show, and tonight it was no different.
Fantastic. Everything was really top notch. Yeah, really impressed with all the champions tonight. So yeah. So I had to put my hand in my pocket.
And that said, what does it mean for your shop to have the silverware, the rosettes hanging in the window, knowing that you've bought the very best of the Christmas Primestock?
Well, we like to show that we're supporting the farming community on the island. I think that is the most important thing, because to be honest, we're getting good stuff all the time. Although I was particularly impressed tonight with the champions, I've got to say.
Yeah, and the one champion that stood out in my view was the native champion. Now, these are traditional breeds, the Hereford, the Aberdeen Angus, Great British breeds. What was it about that kind of breeding that you picked up for your shop?
Well, Kirree, I'm a big fan of native breeds. They tend to have more marbling. They're a lower melting point of the fat. They tend to be outdoors a lot more, so I like, which is lovely to see. And I just think they are the best eating beef, really.
And so the Manx people now, they head up to your shop. When will this stock be available? Do you do any further processing to it?
Well, yeah, they won't be ready for a few weeks yet. So we've got to hang them for a while. So.
And the hanging process, Rob, is that something that means a lot to your business?
Yeah, you can't take a bad piece of beef and hang it and make it good. So you've got to have something good to begin with. But yeah, we want to present it when it's ready.
Yeah, and we spoke about the beef, but you also took away the champion pig and also the champion pair of Beltex lambs there from Sarah Cooley and Bayview pork. What does it mean getting those as well? Different species. Is there still the demand at Christmas time for those as there is for the beef?
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of people prefer. I mean, to be honest, when you see the price of a goose, for example, you think, well, a leg of lamb is so much cheaper and actually a lot more meaty, and it's a great product. And the pork, pork always goes well. And we are blessed with fantastic lamb and pork on the island. So, I mean, yes, the carcasses tonight really stood out, but the whole level is phenomenal. All the lamb, well, Manx lamb is right up there, and the pork, you won't get better pork.
Yeah.
So.
And this is what Sean, he prides himself on being antibiotic free. They use minimal hormones, minimal antibiotics within their pig unit. We don't have too many pig farms left on the Isle of Man.
No, but you can tell when you eat, you only have to look at it, to be honest, and that is the ultimate in, looking after animals. The welfare's there, and the taste is there.
There we go. That was Ruth Mead, the champion in the locked-in section, Sarah Cooley, the champion of the lamb section, Michael Deal, the president of the Young Farmers Movement, Vori Kelly, the vice president of the Royal Manx Agricultural Show Society, and finally Rob Tier from W.E. Tier's Butchers of Ramsey.
Yeah, great to see the youngsters getting involved in that, isn't it? And, it really is an education for them to go and see that process, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like Michael says there, he tries to encourage them to understand from the farm to the plate and the processes that go on in between. But again, hearing Rob Tier wanting to take that champion stock back to his shop for the local people on the Isle of Man to enjoy over the festive period, it's always great that people out there are willing to pay a premium price for the hard work that the farmers put in.
You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, one of the country entertainers of many, many decades here on the Isle of Man has been the wonderful Dot Tilbury, involved in Moran School concerts, the Braid of Stedford and many, many other things along her journey, including the Gaiety Theatre. I popped along to speak to Dot and asked her first how it all got started.
Well, it started when I was a kid, really, because I had this Auntie Do Kirree that lived in Crosby, and she used to do Manx plays and dialect and everything at the Crosby Methodist Church. And I used to love anything at the chapel, sorry, not the church, the chapel. And at Christmas time, the youth club used to do a Christmas concert, and they were hanging them on the hooks. It was that packed. And Johnny Gallen, of course, was the main sort of get-together of everybody, and he had a rock and roll band. Well, when you're a kid of about 9 and 10, there's just magic. And there was Ernie Leese and Jeff Oates and all sorts of people in it. And they used to take the front of the piano of the Sunday school, and he was like sort of Jerry Lee Lewis on it.
Really?
And, oh, God, yeah. And a double bass with a string on. And those sort of inspired me, and my ambition was to get in the youth club concert when I was old enough. But in the meantime, we moved from Bromett Grove in Crosby, where I'd grown up, to the age of 10. And my dad had bought this house in Glenvine. And he thought about it for 2 years as to whether he was a careful Manxman. I think he was looking for the money first. And we moved over there. And I sort of palled up with Josephine Ellis. And her mum was dead keen on the Stedfords. So as a kid, every Thursday, Friday night, we'd be out somewhere in their dormobile. And Peel, Baldrain, Ramsey, anywhere. There was quite a few Stedfords in Douglas at the time. And I just used to go round with them, and we used to go in everything, the singing, the poetry. I could play the piano, because at the time I was going to Mrs. Stanley Kelly in Crosby, June Kelly's mother and Mike Kelly's mum. And so I could play the piano a bit, and the Ellises, of course, could do everything. They were at elocution lessons. I never got the elocution.
Oh, really?
Yes. I never got...
Maybe that was the secret to it.
Well, I wasn't bothered about talking posh. I just wanted to go to the Stedfords. And we used to go out, and it was just great. And that sort of started, there was a little light bulb moment, I suppose. And then I went to work in London, and I worked in Harrods, of all places, went for Christmas. And I worked in the toy department for Christmas. And my abiding memory of, I was in the toy inquiry office, and there was about 40 people working in there, taking orders and dealing with lost parcels and doing a bit on the floor and everything. It was very exciting. And this woman phoned up one day, and I picked up the phone, and she said, "Can I speak to the girl with a funny accent?" So I asked round the room, and I said, "She wants to speak to the girl with the funny accent." They said, "That's you." And I never even realised I had an accent. So I said, "Oh, that would appear to be me." And she was from Troy Court, I remember, in London, which was a very posh area. And I sorted her out. And then after my spell in London, I came back to the Isle of Man. And you don't want to come back and think you're a big head because you've been off the island working. So I thought, I'll go up to the Braid of Stedford and see what's going on up there. And I went up with my dad, Percy, and because he sort of had a hand in building the Braid Young Men's Club when he was a nip, because I live in the house that he was born in. Anyway, I went up with him, and there was people like Alan Wilcox and Ian Qualtrough, Wendy on the organ, and Laurie Kelly, and Ian Qualtrough was there, and there was a few, and it was absolutely heaving. And I couldn't get over all these people there. And I'd been to my Auntie Doe's and asked her if she had a little Manx dialect poem that I could say. So I learnt it, or so I thought. And I went up in the recitation class, Manx dialect, and I said the Peel Tay fight. And I got about halfway through. I've always been crap at learning words. Got about halfway through and I forgot what the line was. And I had the words in, I had skinny jeans on, when you had to lie in your bed to pull the zip up. You won't know about that, but when skinny jeans... No, well, I had these skinny jeans on, and I was trying to tug the words out. Well, of course, Ian Qualtrough was shouting, "Look at her, she's down in her knickers looking for the words and everything." Anyway, I got out, and I was just mortified, but people were laughing, and I quite enjoyed the laughter.
Was the whole show quite serious then?
Who, the Braid of Stedford? Oh, yeah. God, no. With Ian Qualtrough involved. Nothing, but, there were serious bits, but it was about having a good time, really. And of course, that was the day when Alfie Fell used to arrive off the last bus. He'd get a ride up to the Braid, coming through the kitchen. He'd been to the pub to have a couple of pints at 10. Well, not 10, but a few. And everything had to stop for Alfie while he went up and sang, the hippopotamus song or whatever. It was just the best night out, free, practically free. And then you got this humongous supper. And we've got the Braid of Stedford next March, so on the 20th of March. And hopefully it's still a bit like that, but not the crowds. Like, we used to have benches down the middle, talk about fire escapes, down the middle of the floor where everybody had to walk. And I can remember one year, it was packed. They were hanging them on the hooks, and they come in through the door, and it was John Hinnigan, the chief fire officer at the time. And Ian Qualtrough was the chairman, and he shouted over to him, "If you can climb over the benches, Mr. Hinnigan, there's a seat on the stage." So he just turned and went. Anyway, Alfie was a real entertainer, and it was just fun all the time. And you didn't get home till 2:00 in the morning. And at first you had to go down to the chapel where the bus shelter is and have your supper in the chapel, and then you had to go back up to the Braid. 2 and 3 o'clock we'd be getting home. It was just something else. I've never seen anything like it since, and probably won't. But gradually I started getting the hang of this writing a poem, and I remember the first time Manx Radio came up. And it was Charlie Webster, and he come in and he had all these wires everywhere, and Ian Qualtrough was giving him stick, and there was wires going out here, there and everywhere, and he was recording it all. And that was really the start of when people sort of heard, the fun that we had at the Braid of Stedford. And there was still a few Stedfords still going, But like the Crunkavody was another good one. You know, the boys at Crunkavody and girls used to organise it. But gradually, it's the Braid one that's been left. So it's next year on a Saturday night on the 20th of March. So if you're out and about, put it in your diary. Because if nothing else, you get a fine supper.
But was part and parcel of the entertainment then. There is a lot more theatres and shows on at the Villa Marina in this day and age, but there is something unique about them. And you haven't just been at the Braid, have you? You've been all over the island performing.
Oh, well, when I don't know how it happened, but Kenny Ratcliffe, who used to play the organ for like Kenny Ratcliffe's concert party, we used to do it. I remember we used to go everywhere. And Mildred Cooper's big night out at her house, when the Great and the Good and all the people, it was a big fundraiser, and Mildred was lovely, and you know, there was a beautiful meal, and then we were the entertainment, Kenny and Jeff Corkish and Ian Qualtrough and everything. And it was just a wonderful night. But out in the countryside, there was nothing to beat it. And, you know, we go down to Morton Hall. I've got the places we went to. We were absolutely all over. Peel and, you know, down the north. We went to the Dune, not the Dune, Baldrine Hall. And, no, it was a bit further out than that. Anyway, you had to go. And the toilet was on the stage, just off the stage. So you'd be in the middle of singing or doing a turn, and somebody would go up the stairs, across the stage in front of you to go to the toilet. And of course, Lord help them if Ian Qualtrough was on the stage at the time, because he would just take the mickey out of them and everything. But it's just marvellous. Fun we had.
Well, what a stalwart of Manx entertainment Dot Tilbury has been over the years. And you can hear part 2 of my interview with Dot on next week's programme. But what an entertainer, Kirree.
She really has given her heart and soul, not only to the community, the spirits and lifting everybody's moods, but also to the cycle in there that she talks about. But just a great person with that lovely Manx twang in her accent as well. Always a fast thinker is Dot.
Yes, she is indeed. Don't forget, download the podcast of many of the Countryside programmes for free at manxradio.com, and you can listen to a lot more content in the interviews as well, if you so desire. And if you've got anything for the programme, let Kirree or myself know. You can email countryside@manxradio.com. We're back next Tuesday at 5:30 with more. So until then, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.